Hello, and welcome to episode 397 of the Sunday New York Times Read Along, hosted by Neil Parekh and Sri Srinivasan. My name is Neil Parekh. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and our Digimentors website. Please like, comment, share, retweet, do all the things that you do on social media to make sure people can find the show. Special shout out to everyone watching on replay. Thank you for taking the time to come back to the show. If 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time is not your best time to watch our show. Quick announcements. We want to do a quick thank you to our sponsors, Muck and Graphic History Company. Thank you so much for all of your support. We really appreciate it. And we also want to acknowledge that the show is produced by Digimentors, the social and digital consulting firm that Sri started with his good friend Andrew Lee several years ago. I'm proud to be a vice president of events and communications for Digimentors. We produce this show every Sunday, except holidays. So this May, of course, had Mother's Day and Memorial Day. But every Sunday, we're taking a look at the print edition of the New York Times, talking about the most important stories and taking viewer comments and questions. So the audience is definitely a big part of the show. Let's go ahead and bring on Sri Srinivasan. Sri, good to see you.
Good morning, Neil. It's 5:30 in the morning here in California. I'm in Mountain View, which is the heart of Silicon Valley. Last night, I was emceeing the Arogya World Gala here. Arogya World is an amazing organization working to fight diabetes and other non-communicable diseases here in the United States as well as in India. And it was an amazing evening to get together to talk about some of these very important issues. So we have friends, as you know, who also wake up very early, including Doug Levy, who does this every Sunday. I don't know how he does it. I luckily am jet lagged enough that this is okay, but he does this all the time. Neil, great to see you and great to see everybody who's joining us from around the world. Today, you will have to drive the newspaper reading because you can't get a newspaper here that early, at least in this hotel. John's watching from the East Village. John, great to have you. And I see someone who you know is watching, Neil.
Yes, I have met this person before, actually, recently, last weekend. I was able to meet her, and for the, I think it was the 30,000th time, if I'm keeping track. Mom, good to see you as always. Thank you. I'm glad we had a nice chance to visit last weekend, Sunday and Monday of Memorial Day weekend. I was up in New York after being up in Connecticut for a college reunion, and that's why we didn't have a show last week.
Diane says, good morning from beautiful South Jersey. Primary voting June 2nd down here in Congressional District 2. She's voting for Bailey Winder for Congress. And Stefan's also from New Jersey. Enjoy California time. I love being in California. I like to say that in another life, I would have lived in the California sun. And here, Brooks is also saying hi to Mom. Maybe it's your mom, Neil. Ken saying hello from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And look at this, our friend Ron Thomas is in Verona, New Jersey, arriving back from Dubai and his international travels. We're so grateful to him and everyone who watches from around the world. We are very, very happy to have you here. Ellen's watching from the Upper East Side. It's cool outside in New York. By the way, Neil, whenever I come to California, I'm always too cold because I expect it to be so warm. It isn't always as warm, and especially in San Francisco. Even in LA, during the day, it's often very warm, but at night it cools down because of the ocean and everything else.
San Francisco is known to be cooler than than you'd expect in the summer. I'm sure Doug can tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Mary's watching from Charlotte, North Carolina. Mary, thank you for being here. Longtime collaborator and someone who, like me and Neil, in the 107 days that were the Kamala Harris campaign, was we covered what was going on. We warned people about everything that was going to come. And then, of course, it all happened. And here we're all suffering for it now. Ted is watching from Washington, D.C., and Paula Kiger, longtime producer of the show and dear friend, is watching from Tallahassee, Florida. There's rumors, Neil, that I might see her in New York next week.
Oh,
And Mary
wow.
is watching from Rhode Island, where a meteor apparently exploded above New England. Volatile weather yesterday on top of
Yes.
that. Yeah.
I saw reports about that. It was quite the event. Very loud, and people at first didn't know what to make of it. But it was centered over like Boston and Rhode Island, from what I understand.
By the way, Neil, you know, you've been to enough galas. One of the things that happens in galas is that you get to take home the centerpiece. And so this was the
Yes.
beautiful centerpiece at the Arogya World event yesterday. Rajan is watching from Bayshore, Long Island. And John says, there's an old line credited to Mark Twain. The coldest winter I ever spent was summer in San Francisco. So
Absolutely.
that's certainly one of the things that we have all heard. Neil, I just spent this morning in part writing my newsletter, Sri's Sunday Note, and I hope everyone will go to srinet.substack.com. The topic today is what's happening with the closing of America, as I called it. We are scoring own goals ahead of the World Cup. It's good to score goals, but not own goals, Neil. And we are doing that now. This is a lovely cartoon, lovely, scary, terrible cartoon by Jeff Danziger. It's called Pickpockets, but it's also Trump and Sons. Don't worry, boys, I'll keep him distracted. And we are all just, so many things are happening. International travel is in jeopardy in America. As you know, Mark Wayne Mullen, the new Secretary of Homeland Security, is mulling whether to shut down international travel to sanctuary cities. And these sanctuary cities, as everybody knows, is how you the cities that don't question your legal status for immigration status before providing services. And he wants to shut that down. No international travel there. So can you imagine, Neil, San Francisco, New York, Newark, O'Hare Airport in Chicago, these places not having international travel allowed? How would this country operate right during the World Cup as well? These are kind of radical ideas that we could dismiss, but not when they're coming from the Secretary of Homeland Security, the man in charge of all of this. And that's part of the things that I write about in this. You also heard about the green card crisis, Neil, where the plan was that everybody who's applied for a green card should just pack up and go home and wait for the green cards there while on their visas. It just doesn't make any sense. It would upend millions of people's lives. And they kind of walked it back, but not really. Anything that anyone ever tells you that, well, Trump is not really interested in this, I want to remind you that he's always interested. He's always never interested until it happens. So we have to all be vigilant and paying attention to everything that's happening.
That's one of the things that we'll be focusing on, Sri, on this week's episode, the continued war on immigration. There are articles on not just the green card issue and the walk back a little bit, as you refer to it, but also there's the lead story in the paper this week is about some of the other ways that Trump is targeting immigrants, and people are not. This is focusing on keeping people from coming in, but there's a huge movement to make life miserable for people who are already here. So we'll definitely be taking a closer look at that a little bit later.
Chris Gorman says hi, watching from New York, and Pradnya is watching from Silver Spring. And there's a war on travel in general. Neil, it reminds me of the time when the good people of the United Kingdom tore up their visa, the passport that allowed them to travel to 27 countries in Europe in order to because they were fed misinformation and disinformation about what's happening with the European Union. They just did that. And so there was, as you remember, about a decade ago with the Brexit crisis
Yeah.
that happened. And these are people who maybe they don't travel themselves, so they believe no one should travel, and they don't see the value of that. And that's what's happening here. And here's Ellen saying, let's hear it for dictator Trump right now. He's interested in getting his picture on money. And Neil, you live in DC. If you haven't, folks who haven't been to DC won't believe that you go there and in front of federal buildings, his picture is on banners draped in front of federal buildings. These are things you hear about, you see in dictatorships around the world, but not in the United States. His picture on passports, his picture on money. You remember the whole I want to be on Mount Rushmore. It's all part of the craziness that is Donald Trump, and we're
Yeah.
all living in it now. It's
What
really problematic.
this is the image, if you hadn't seen, of the $250 bill that they are proposing with Trump's picture on it. That's a mock-up of the design.
He
That's
doesn't.
the image, if you've seen before. He's used that in several places, and that look where he's looking down just a little bit and kind of the angle has been shown as a parallel for several movie scenes, like from A Clockwork Orange, etc., where like the deranged character looks exactly like that. Imagine having that on a $250 bill. I mean, it's crazy.
Which doesn't
Crazy.
exist. Which doesn't exist.
No,
And
no, it's
yeah,
new. It would be
yes,
new.
yeah. Pradnya is hoping at least we're getting the Kennedy Center back. You want to brief us on that, Neil?
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the things that we wanted to talk about today. A judge ruled this week that President Trump has to take his name off the Kennedy Center, and that's that was I'd say a pleasant surprise. But as you mentioned, that may just be a temporary reprieve. This is the follow up. In an incensed social media post, President Trump suggested that the ruling might prompt him to cast the center aside after more than a year at its helm. Cast the center aside, is
It's a
more.
confusing headline. It's confusing words. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think, from my understanding of it, it's not so much that he's going to cast it aside. He is going to walk away from it, right? He's not. He had inserted his cronies onto the board. They voted to change the name in a questionable procedural move where they didn't let all of the members speak or vote. They named him chair. And from what I could tell from his social media response on Truth Social, he's like, forget it. If I can't, this is like the analysis. If I can't run it, if I can't do what I want, you can have it. I don't care. But it's a question of whether he's really going to walk away from it or whether it's going to go to his buddies on the Supreme Court who will overturn this decision. That's the question. But I think he had like 10 days without another legal ruling, 10 days to take his name off.
Yeah, the thing about these judges' orders, as we know, is anything that goes up to the Supreme Court, it goes 6-3, 6-3, 6-3, meaning the Trump and the Trump appointed justices, as well as the ones who were who had been there from before. It's 6-3 every time, and it's super upsetting. Here, Sudha saying, when green card holders are returning to the U.S. from their travels, they're often troubled at our airports. And then Sudha says that he's going to appeal the ruling.
Yeah, of course.
And his image should be on a wooden nickel to show he's as stalwart as the mighty oak. And he's making clear that this is sarcasm that he's talking about. And Ellen says 250, interesting because there has been talk of getting rid of the $10 bill for lack of use. At least a $250 bill would only get used in Trump's home as he frames them. We have to laugh a little bit, Neil, because otherwise we will cry all day. He's like an irritable toddler walking away from a broken toy.
Yep.
Heavens be that the Kennedy Center is going back to the Kennedy Center. That'll be amazing if that happens. But we'll see. And by the way, the Kennedy name itself has been ruined in recent years by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., JFK's nephew, as we know, and the enormous damage he's doing. Folks, if you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Neil's Instagram, or on the Digimentor's website, one of the things that Neil does is while he's doing all of this, he's able to link to specific articles from the paper. And in a couple of minutes, he's actually going to have the paper in his hand. You can see the dawn coming up behind me. I am in California, in San Francisco. Neil's in Washington, in the Washington, D.C. area. This is the New York Times Read Along. For 10 years, we've been reading the print paper out loud, not because we only care about the New York Times, but we care about fighting misinformation, disinformation. Neil and I have done this in various other newspapers, with other newspapers, including the Washington Post, at the home of Deputy Editor Mark Fisher. We have done this in Toronto with the Globe and Mail, the Khaleej Times in Dubai. We really care about news and accurate news, and that's why we do this show. We thank you for your support. Sundays, 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. And by the way, one of the things we've now done is put it on a podcast, so you can get it at your favorite channel, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anywhere else. And Stefan says, I once had double hernia surgery and was on Demerol and Percocet watching a Twilight Zone marathon. What a fun trip that was. Now I feel like we're living in the Twilight Zone on crack, and it's as ugly as hell. Naomi says, must see the video of RFK Jr. wrangling snakes. Unbelievable. I didn't even hear about this. So,
and I remember seeing an article, and I don't remember if it was in the print copy or it might have been in print. A question, like the New York Times actually looking at, is he doing it right? Like that's actually like Kennedy wrangling snakes. I'll do a quick shout out, Sri, my cousin in India. When we visited back in it must have been either, I think it was 84. I was 11. I remember he was, several years older. He used to be the one that was called in Ahmedabad. Cobras would show up in effectively the local market, the local stalls. He would be the one they call to come catch them. He had some kind of tool, and he knew how to handle them. If you hold them from behind and pinch their neck in a certain space, they can't do anything. So I know my cousin did it right.
The Spock methodology. Folks,
something like that.
We're live on all of these channels, including YouTube. And in YouTube, we're not putting the comments on the screen because they're ridiculous, but there are people attacking Trump, and then people attacking us for saying things about Trump, and then there are people who are saying terrible things about us, but that's okay. They kind of hate watching us. That's fine. Folks, thank you everybody for being here and watching. And then look at Pragna. Thank you. She's gone on to LinkedIn to share this show with her friends on LinkedIn. Just tag them on any of the platforms, folks, and they can watch us live or later. Sundays. This is episode 397. Neil, we're going to hit episode 400.
400.
When is that?
June 28th. Oh. June 28th. Right in between Father's Day. We won't have a show on June 21st. And then the following weekend will be July 4th weekend. So if we stay on track, June 28th will be our 400th episode. I do want to make one point about YouTube, Sri. So we can produce the show both on YouTube in the horizontal format, which is the traditional format, and also as a YouTube short in a vertical format. And typically it's the people who are watching on shorts where we're getting the inappropriate comments. We have a number of people watching on YouTube who are friends and colleagues, regular viewers. I don't want to say everyone watching on YouTube is a problem, but just wanted to clarify that.
John says June 28th is Pride weekend, and
That's
that's
a good
obviously.
point.
And
In
here's
New
one
York,
of our
yeah.
friends watching on YouTube. Amy McIntyre is watching from beautiful Washington State. Glad to be here. What are you doing? It's 5:51. I'm in California. I can say that as well. And Mary says, some surprise that South Carolina did not redistrict. GOP saw record-breaking lines in early voting and backed off for the time being. Jim Clyburn is respected there, and doing away with his seat, leaving black voters 25% of the state without voice would be nasty work. Nasty work hasn't deterred them in the past, but thank you for that update. That this counts as good news in the world that we're living in. And by the way, here's somebody who's been saying some weird things there. He says, my comment is the absolute truth.
The comment there, Sri, was evil traitor, liar, slob is what they had said. And I'm assuming he's not talking about us.
You never
but
know.
I assume it's President Trump. As we mentioned, you mentioned James Clyburn. I just wanted to mention real quickly, if I could, the John and Lillian Miles Lewis Foundation that we work closely with. We've worked with them for more than 2 years now. They're having their gala dinner on Tuesday, and Jim Clyburn is actually going to be getting an award, the John Lewis Carry On Award from the foundation. So we're very proud of the work that we do with them, and just wanted to show folks Jim Clyburn. The other honoree that night is going to be the First Lady of Maryland, Dawn Moore, for all of her work, particularly Wes Moore's wife, exactly, particularly for her work around literacy. But yeah, Jim Clyburn is legendary in terms of his work, and he helped elect Joe Biden back in 2020 with the South Carolina primary, saved the campaign, as many would think of it.
And there's a good trouble gala on June 2nd.
Yes,
I'm sure tickets are still available if people can get there. And the John Lewis Carry On Award and the Lillian Miles Lewis Luminary Award. What a great event! I know you'll be there, Neil.
Yeah,
and a great opportunity to celebrate one of the great Americans, John Lewis. If people go on my Twitter feed, you'll see it's a photo of me and John Lewis together, a selfie that I took at a gala. And he gave this wonderful line, Neil. You remember, because of the work you do with the foundation, you've been able to dig into some of the archives. And his line that he said that night to us, he said, "We all arrived on different ships, but we're in the same boat now." And
exactly.
I'll never forget that as such an important comment and a way to look at the world. And Doug Levy says, "I love watching the show on YouTube. Thank you for the intelligent conversation and great community." Doug, I'm curious if you watch it vertically or in the horizontal format. That would be interesting. And we call this "Monsters Are Here on Pennsylvania Avenue," is what Radian says. And Mary, I've interviewed Congressman Clyburn many times, including twice on my Equal Time podcast. Always calls me Miss Curtis. He's quite the gentleman. Yes, he is. And should I be calling you Miss Curtis? Thank you, everybody, for watching. This is the New York Times Read Along. That's Neil Parekh in Washington. This is Sri, usually in New York, but right now in California, in San Francisco, at the heart of Silicon Valley, Neil, where a lot of the bad trouble is being caused now because of everything that happens out there. So I think we're ready to talk about the paper in depth. We have about 30 minutes. We have lots of things to cover. So normally I carry the paper and hold the paper, and Neil comments. This time I'm going to be doing the opposite, and we're going to be doing the opposite. So
before I do that, I want to just wrap up we were talking about in horizontal. I want to make that point. If you are watching, so I watch on YouTube on my TV sometimes. And you need to just make sure, I said on a TV, you want to watch the horizontal version. On your phone, vertical, if you go vertical or horizontal, you just have to find the right feed. But as far as the comments on YouTube are concerned, I just want to point out that our friend Mark said that he was talking about Trump. So I'm relieved that he wasn't talking about us earlier.
You
And
never know.
someone says Sid Life 365. I second that, Mark. And he would add pedophile to that list. So there's maybe a mixed bag in YouTube. There is some sanity over there.
By the way, I wanted to show you this unusual water bottle. You might wonder what that is. That's a way for you to, it can become a stand or a tripod because of the magnetic backing that has here. So when you're exercising, you have your own stand, and that's been pretty cool. So it's a very odd but useful feature. Folks, thank you so much for watching. We love hearing your feedback. Neil sends out an alert every week about what we're covering, whether we have a show, whether we have a guest. So please sign up for that. Write to neil@digimentors.group, neil@digimentors.group. And also let us know if you or someone you know would like to sponsor the show. We can announce your gala. We can announce your nonprofit work. We can announce your new book or new project, anything you're doing, let us know. This is a labor of love, and it's easier to have labors of love when there are sponsors, and we're so grateful to Muck as well as to the Graphic History Company for being our sponsors. Neil, don't even look at the YouTube comments right now because it's gotten into stuff about the Middle East, and it's a waste of time. Look at that paper. For folks who don't read the paper in print anymore, that's the Sunday New York Times. It used to be that thick. Now it's probably about this thick. So walk us through it, Neil.
Absolutely. So it's always important in terms of understanding what we're looking at. And there's usually a display photo on the left-hand side in terms of a large photo. This one's actually larger than usual street, and it's taking up much more real estate. Going below the fold, and a second picture. The lead story is always the right-hand side, the right column. So the display photo is actually about Ebola in Africa. Without much to hold it back, Ebola devastates mining town, and that photo, health workers in Mongwalu, if I'm pronouncing it even closely, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, carried the coffin of one of the victims, a charismatic Catholic preacher, on Monday. But that's obviously a editorial decision. This is what the New York Times is wanting to put on, kind of make sure people see when they look at a paper. The lead story, as we mentioned, and we'll just adjust the camera angle. Let's keep Sri. Are we?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I was trying
here?
to. I was trying to zoom in on that, but I was having trouble.
Yeah.
Look at this. Ellen says, "Lordy, I need the print version every day." Actually, that's a great comment.
So the lead story: Trump cuts off life necessities for immigrants. I was making reference to this earlier. Even legal residents, forcing exits by severing access to childcare, jobs, and housing. We'll take a look at the way that article is treated inside Sri in just a moment. But one thing that's interesting is when you look at the paper online, not just on the website, but there's a link called Today's Paper where you can see a rendition of the print edition. Mm-hmm. And if you look at that link, it actually shows the lead article as a big display photo, and the article that's a display photo is on the right and smaller. So they reverse it for some reason online, which I think is interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Below the fold, Kyiv civilians don war wear to pay respect. Standoff at sea may be test of who blinks first. That's the Strait of Hormuz. And on the right-hand side, the NYPD closes the book on handwritten daily blotters. Wow. I'd be curious. Yeah. Our friend Stefan, his mom, was a NYPD police officer. Stefan, remind us, first woman or first woman on foot patrol? I can't remember her her
I think it
claim
was
to
the
fame
first,
there.
yeah, and also maybe even one of the first women to carry a gun on the force, things like that. Can you flip back to the display photo? I want to make a
Sure.
comment there. Uh, just imagine these healthcare workers at a time of great panic and peril. They are still giving that person who died respect and a solemn and important and a dignified farewell. Can you imagine? The fear that's going through everybody there, but they're still doing that. And shout out to our healthcare workers. We did a lot, Neil, during uh, the the COVID crisis to celebrate doctors,
Yes.
nurses, everyone who works in a hospital. But I think we've moved away from that, especially with this MAHA movement, the Make America Healthy Again movement, which is uh, disrespecting science and expertise and everything else. And Pradnya says, anyone wanting to dig in on Ebola, read Craig Spencer, and she's linked to his work. And he is a very important doctor who has been writing about this. And let's see what else. Rahadjan is saying the term Southwest Asia or Southwest Asia and North Africa getting any serious traction as a replacement for the Middle East, since the latter might be familiar, but is Eurocentric. You're right in Rajan, in South Asia, they say West Asia for the Middle East instead of saying the Middle East, and that Eurocentric vision of the world still holds in so many ways.
You were talking about the healthcare workers, Sri. I remember seeing a headline. I think there was an American doctor who was working in the area who had been evacuated right at the beginning of the outbreak and was just heartbroken to be leaving his colleagues. But I think someone made the decision to pull him out.
Chitachi is watching, former guest on the show. I got to be with her, Chitachi, on the last good day in America in many ways, because it was the day before the inauguration of Trump's second term. And we were in Miami together and we read the paper. Check out her podcast, everybody. She's on Instagram. She's great. Somebody got confused about what I said. They thought I was saying that Maha is respecting science. Did you just make that claim? No, I did not. I said the opposite.
No.
I said Maha is disrespecting science, ignoring science, and that's part of why we're here. And Pradnya has also put in a link to the organization also known as Doctors Without Borders. Please check them out and keep in touch with what's happening there. By the way, Tim says that President Trump is the greatest president in his 67 years living on this earth. This tells you something about Tim more than it does about Trump. It says our food critics take stock of a year in review. Year in reviews. It's going to be very exciting because Neil's going to hold up later the New York Times a list of the 100 top restaurants in New York City.
And as a preview, you can actually get that 100 best restaurants in New York City from our website. If you go to tinyurl.com, 100 best restaurants 2026, you can get that PDF if you're interested. We also have gift links on our website to several articles. So check that out. tinyurl.com/100 best restaurants 2026. One of the PDFs we're able to offer our viewers, thanks to our friends at the New York Times, Tom Jolly and Wayne Camadoy, are always helping us out, giving us special PDFs, whether it's from the New York Times cooking section, these special tabloids, and other special reports. The Inside the Times, the story behind the story, is always my favorite section, Sri. And this one definitely delivers. It's actually written by a friend of the show, Sarah Barr, who was a guest on the show. And it takes a look behind that 100 best restaurants list. So definitely check that out. And Sri, when we go through that, I'm going to ask you which of those restaurants you've eaten at. You're much more a foodie than I am. And of course, not living in New York would be even harder. but I'd be curious to see which one of those restaurants you're familiar
And
with.
DC, by the way, where you live, great restaurant town. Also, John says just tried a new restaurant, good kitchen, but hostile to solo and senior diners. And John
Oh,
is a great solo diner, and he talks a lot about how people treat people who are dining solo. And definitely check out his Facebook for all his cool stuff. This time, Lithuania is glad to see German troops, and that's an unusual headline. If anyone
yeah.
has or one of the most gruesome depictions of how Lithuania was treated during World War II is in the movie Hannibal Rising, which is one of the sequels to Silence of the Lambs, but is actually a prequel in the storytelling about young Hannibal Lecter, who grew up in a castle in Lithuania, and what happens there when the German troops come through and the Russian troops come through, and all of it's all horrible, of course. But I and you know, Neil, that Hannibal Lecter is not a real person, but our president has on multiple occasions praised Hannibal Lecter, Dr. Hannibal Lecter, as if he's a real person.
I thought the headline was really well done. Also, just that juxtaposition. Glad to see German troops. Who would have thought that any country would be glad to see German troops after World War II? But here they are. If we see Poland glad to see Germany, then we really know that things have changed. Other international stories: a Russian drone that hit Romania also hit European confidence. If you saw, Sri, a Russian drone hit Romania, which is part of NATO.
Yeah.
But there's no response from NATO, and that's really calling into question. Did they claim it was
accidental? Did they claim that, Neil?
I don't think so. I think it was. I'd have to see. I don't remember the detail on that, but it's more the question of whether or not NATO is fulfilling its promise. I also looking at the ads, Sri, when we see them, and so this is a broadsheet. This is a full page in the Charleston Mercury about the Union being dissolved before the Civil War. It's part of an auction, Americana and Political Auction, the John H. Freund Americana Collection. And this is Heritage Auctions took out this ad to promote this. I thought that was an interesting bit of history.
We were talking earlier about South Carolina, so this all kind of comes together. By the way, Chitachi has a great line. Good Lord, you can't make up this age of dysfunction. Everything is so crazy. Across the region, celebrations of a Muslim holiday are muted. I presume this is in which region are you talking about?
Well, the Middle East. On Wednesday, Palestinians praying beside the rubble of a bombed mosque in Khan Yunis, Gaza, and families gathered at a makeshift amusement park in Sidon, South Lebanon. Eid was on Wednesday of last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, it was.
But it's understandable why celebrations would be muted there.
Pradya says best restaurants to Hannibal. Nice transition.
Pradya is saying best restaurants to Hannibal.
Yes, we were able to go from one to the other, and she says that DC does have some excellent restaurants. By the way, I went to a very nice Ethiopian restaurant called Das, DAS, in Washington, D.C. It's the first time I'd been to a high-end Ethiopian restaurant, which I love eating at, but they're often, or I've always been to ones that are more affordable and down to earth, but this was high-end with it was like going to any Michelin restaurant, but it was such delicious food. If you haven't eaten Ethiopian food, you all must check it out. Neil, are you an Ethiopian food fan? Have you eaten it? Let's see. I may have lost Neil's audio there. Let's see. There he is. He's coming right back. Neil, I was asking if you have eaten Ethiopian food.
I have not actually. Okay. Maybe once a long time ago, but not a regular. not a
So here's
regular
a
thing.
here's a plug for Ethiopian food. What I love about it is that it's so unusual for Americans to eat. The way they do it is one round plate, and you eat together off the same plate. You use your hands, and of course, this is all unusual for Americans, but it's so much fun to eat it. They have a bread that's fermented, it's almost like a dosha, and then the meats and the vegetables. There's so much vegetarian food there, but also really good meats. And I love Ethiopian whenever I can. But I was saying that DAS in Washington was the first time I'd eaten kind of fine dining Ethiopian food. So, but it was really good. All right. Rajan
There's
says
the
is a 22nd novel, 22nd century novel about this era. So first of all, he's confident, Neil, that we will have a 22nd century that we will all be around for, at least humanity will be around for, and it'll be looking back at this as the age of dysfunction.
So I want to show the inside. This is the centerfold, Sri. This is a continuation of that Ebola coverage. And if you just, I'm trying to get the phone even higher to see the full breadth. If you see this huge photo going across the center of the paper, several photos on the side, a big photo of an ambulance here. This is to give you a sense of what you're looking at. But Ebola virus devastates a remote gold mining town. That's just a lot of real estate devoted to that story, which again, it's one of those things for me, for a readership that may not be paying attention to what's going internationally. The administration certainly doesn't seem to be caring much. This is, putting it in your face. You can't ignore this kind of coverage.
No. By the way, we've had a side digression into Ethiopian food now. Chitachi says try dukum in DC, and Doug says injera, that's the bread that I was describing, is so delicious, especially with the sauces of Ethiopian stews. That's right. Most of the food seems to be like stews, so a lot of sauces. And Pradnya says DMV is where it's at for amazing Ethiopian Eritrean food. Love injera. Again, that's that bread that is used as a base onto which you put all the food. Oh, I'm hungry, Neil. It's only 6:13 a.m. We have about 15 minutes left. Is that a mushroom cloud on that right? What is that?
It is. So on the right, that's Blue Origin, which is the space company run by Jeff Bezos. Had a rocket launch that did not go well. The rocket blew up on the launch pad earlier this week. And so this is part of the new space race, frankly, is between Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. And, this is a setback for Blue Origin. But it was an incredible explosion, if you see that.
Yeah, wow, look at that. That's really scary, but it was unmanned, I presume. So that's what happened. By the way, Rajan, who made that comment earlier about there being a 22nd century novel about today, and I said he sounds very confident that there will be a 22nd century. He says, no, I'm not confident about the future, just whistling in the dark. So that's
we talked about
the pro-Trump, anti-Trump people are having at it fully in the YouTube comment. And look at this calling the center. The Disney Orlando has a Ethiopian buffet. It's nice. So you wouldn't expect that at a Disney in Disney, but that tells you. And I enjoyed lunch a few weeks back. My wife enjoyed the dal. Ron and I had lunch in New York City at an Indian restaurant, and it was really fun at Patiala Grill. So we're talking a lot about food so early in the morning.
I think, Sri, the tagline for this show is "Come for the discussion on Trump's judicial losses, immigration. Stay for the Ethiopian restaurant reviews."
I love that.
There was a question earlier, a comment about RFK Jr. and wrangling snakes, and this is where I'd seen that article. How does Kennedy rate as a wrangler of snakes? This is again one of those helpful articles from the New York Times, so that you have better background on how to or how not to wrangle snakes, and how do snake wranglers grade his technique. In the video, Mr. Kennedy cornered the two snakes from a crouching position and grabbed them near their tails. I know that's wrong. The snakes, which experts said appeared to be mating, nipped at his hands as they tried to escape from the grip. Experts also said that it would be better to call in professionals in such a situation. Is it safe to handle snakes, and do black racers bite? That's a black racer snake, apparently.
Oh my God. By the way, someone claims that's a fake photo. So, this is the problem.
Which one? The explosion or the photo?
Well, it could be either one, but they're both real. This and the snake photo are both real.
Yeah.
This is the world we live in now, where people looking at something won't believe it. And here is RFK Jr. is a goddamn lunatic, says the Spotinator or the Spotinator. And Pradnya says Ebola and other crises in Africa get ignored until sources of gold, oil, or rare earth minerals and other resources are being affected. You are right. That's when America pays attention. Trump forces immigrants out of cutting life off necessities.
By cutting off life necessities.
Yeah. Ooh.
And this is the continuation of that article. This is where the hardline tactics aims at their jobs, housing, and healthcare. And this is one of the examples they showed to someone who was here on a special visa. I forget the name of it, but like a temporary visa where it's dangerous for them to be in their home country. Had been working for 20 years and lost their job, lost their ability to work. The administration is focusing on jobs only for green card holders and permanent residents. Like, they keep changing the line, Sri, of what is allowed. So that's my concern, is that they're going to move to, okay, green card holders and permanent residents are okay, but who's to say next year they'll cut off green card holders? They'll cut off, eventually they'll come for naturalized citizens.
Oh, they're already started procedures to denaturalize about 200 Americans.
Yeah.
I think in the last 50 years, there have been 100 or so, maybe the last decade, 100 have been done. So they're increasing rates of everything. Back to the snake story. Snake's interruptus is never wise, because RFK tried to interrupt before mating. Of course he did. And Naomi says RFK Jr. is a snake in human skin. And Neil, I'll also say, since we're discussing what's happening with immigration, I met somebody who was proudly telling me that he had come here on an Einstein visa, which is a visa that's called the EB-1 for extraordinary ability. And I put him in his place by saying, that's no longer called the Einstein visa. It's the Melania visa, because she got that visa. So why are we naming it after Einstein? We should name it after our first lady. So he was very upset to hear that.
You certainly, you want to rename things as history progresses. So when you have someone who is more, intelligent than the previous person, and more acclaimed and has better credentials, you certainly want to change the name from Einstein to Melania. That makes perfect sense, Sri. I don't know why anyone would question that.
I don't know why, after all, Einstein never got $40 million from Jeff Bezos to have a documentary made about him. And folks, we have about 10 minutes left, and we're still, I think, on page 15 of the paper. So we have a lot of things to cover.
We go a lot slower when I'm driving, huh? This is more about politics and Trump. And this is where I always like pointing out, in Washington, D.C., there are 20 printing presses that print the paper, but only the one in New York can print 40-page sections. Everyone else has to do it in two parts. So A1 ends here and then continues in another piece. This is the story about the NYPD closing the book on handwritten daily logs.
Yeah. By the way, Rajan says, I'm humorous because I haven't had coffee yet, and I'll make breakfast later. Naomi says that's another insult to Einstein. And and acute class consciousness is really hard when learning about this stuff. I'm glad people are learning. I'm glad people are paying attention. There's a sports section in New York, Neil. Everyone's super excited because the Knicks have made it to the NBA basketball finals after decades. So we're very excited about that. And they're going to be playing the San Antonio Spurs, who beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. So this is going to be a great show. Familiar feeling descends on New York. Is that ... good cheer?
It's an unfamiliar feeling.
Unfamiliar. Oh, okay. Because New York sports has been bad. This is the biggest market, and our football teams are bad. Our baseball teams haven't been as good as they could be. Though the Yankees did make it to the World Series in a couple of years ago. And so we're always looking for good news. And Neil is a huge Yankees fan.
I was going to say, this year the Yanks are much better than the Mets. I'll take that.
Look at this. What a nice comment. Iman Finley says, I'm enjoying this first time here. Thank you. Welcome. We do this every Sunday from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and it's available on all these channels: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, as well as digimentors.group. And you can get a copy of your own of the PDFs that we are able to put up. Look, a leader of the Black conservative movement has died. We have about 7 minutes left and many sections to read. Claude Best passed away. And so thank you for watching. If you're new to the show, we love having you here. We have so much to talk about. We do this because we love journalism and we want to promote journalism. We've been doing this for almost 10 years, and we're live also on the Scroll.in channels, which is one of India's most important. How Hungary beat back autocracy and what the U.S. can learn from Peter Magyar's triumph. And what a great name. Peter Magyar is like being named John Yankee. In Hungary, I think that's very similar.
They defeated Viktor Orban, which was really incredible to see. We'll go through these sections real quick, just the front pages, and so we can spend a little time with the New York City best restaurants. But Sri, for that person who was who had watched for the first time, can you show them the email address to get updates about the show?
Sure. Neil@digimentors.group. Everybody, please check it out. Neil@digimentors.group. Write to him, and he will be able to. You can see it right there on the screen. Neil@digimentors. He will email you once a week at most, telling us what's coming up in the show. I tried to sell my house with a chat bot, I guess, instead of a realtor. I wonder how that went. Over five
frantic. Yeah, you can see it. Good.
Yeah. I gambled my family's life saving on a hunch that AI could outperform a real estate agent. Ooh, I wonder what happened. But why is it a gambling of the life savings? I don't understand. The percent, or I guess how much money he would get? Who knows? All right, let's see. What's this, Neil?
Revisiting Ghosts of a City's Salty Past, illustrating a book on old New York. Joanna Aviles saw scenes from her childhood around many corners. This is Sunday Styles. Arts and Leisure, we have to flip over to get the headline. Just 36 hours to air, filming an SNL short. So the process of SNL shorts, and this is actually someone is in makeup for that. The book review is a summer reading special. So that'll be some interesting summer reading books. We're going to set the restaurants aside for just a moment because Sri, the New York Times Magazine, you're going to want to see this when you get home because I know the paper's waiting for you. Create Hollywood's Big Star, generated by AI. This is an interview with AI actress Tilly Norwood, and there's video on the website. So you definitely want to. Tilly Norwood is an AI generated actress, and it'll be fascinating to see how that interview went. Definitely all things AI.
Neil, I just want to comment your beautiful hands and nails. I'd never.
Oh, thank you. And 100 best restaurants in New York City. The annual list is back. Our new chief critic chose her favorite places to dine in all 5 boroughs. It's a little bit hard to see in terms of the contrast. It's a light blue with the light blue text, but there's Some of the headlines: furthest north, Wakefield, the Bronx. Shortest meal, 39 seconds. That's interesting. Numbers of total restaurant meals, 217. Over here, let's see. Farthest south is Brighton Beach, Brooklyn. The longest meal was 3 hours and 41 minutes.
Oh my God.
Most expensive was $550, and the least expensive was $250. And some other tidbits.
So that's interesting. So she was able to go to the 100 top restaurants in New York. One was just $250, and another was $550.
Yeah.
$2.50. I'm sorry. So that kind of tells you the range here. Let's just read the top 5 restaurants so that we have that.
And I don't know if it's in order. Oh, it is one. So Kabawa, Caribbean tasting in the East Village of Manhattan.
Wow.
There's some interesting
Number 1 restaurant
photography there.
Yeah, amazing.
Number 2 is Yamada, but not a lot of real estate for the rest of them. So Yamada, a Japanese restaurant. Number 3 is an Italian restaurant, Teresi. Number 4 is Meiju, a Korean. It says Korean tasting. They got a picture. 5 is Jean Georges, French. 6 is Borgio, Italian. And then this is eating the list, tasting menus only. That's interesting. And then the rest.
Go to number 9, please, and then I want to talk about number 9.
9 is Sema, Indian restaurant.
Yeah.
You know Sema, Chef Vijay Kumar.
Yep. And it's a non-vegetarian Indian restaurant, South Indian restaurant, which also has great vegetarian food. Our twins, who turned 23 on the 23rd, asked to go to Sema, so we did. Sema is number 9 on that list, but last year it was number 1 on that list. Not the number 1 Indian restaurant, Neil, the number 1 restaurant in all of New York, according to the New York Times, and still in the top 10. But if you go all the way back towards the end of the list, I think at 95, 96, something like that, is what Chef Vikas Khanna, the famous chef, has called the best Indian food in New York, which is at the Hindu temple in Flushing, Queens. And the canteen there has excellent food. You don't have to be Hindu to attend to eat.
Temple
different.
97, the Temple Canteen. Absolutely. And as a reminder for folks, you can get the PDF and a gift link to that special section from our website. If you go to tinyurl.com, 100 Best Restaurants 2026, you can get the PDF and gift links.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Neil. Everybody check that out. And also go to the Digimentor's website and you'll see an NYT Read Along section, and you can find our old PDFs there as well. Naomi says, Neil, to restore the last 30 minutes, we used to do this as a 90-minute show. We cut it back to 60 minutes. So she's asking for that back. And Chitachi says, AI in real estate is a hot topic these days. Rajan says, the 1980s movie Looker predicted AI-generated actresses. And I honestly wonder who's doing the advanced obituaries on certain world leaders at the times. Maybe not Judith Miller or Jason Blair. Rajan is on a jokes roll here. He said he hasn't had coffee yet. That's why he's like that. And thank you for the link, just says Chitachi. And folks, even if you're not living in New York, even if you're never going to come to New York in the next year, these PDFs are so good because you'll get ideas about what you might want to try in your hometown. And a lot of these restaurants and restaurateurs move around, as we know. And Neil's pointing out that we have a PDF of the best 100 restaurants in New York City on the website. Go to the tiny URL you see on the screen and look at our archives at digimentors.group/NYT Read Along. Neil, what is the rest of your Sunday like?
Rest of my Sunday, haven't even thought about that yet. Some work we have for the gala coming up on Tuesday, and I think that we're going to be running some errands as well. I know that Emily has some plans with friends, so we'll figure out our schedule once she knows which movie she wants to go to.
Oh, that's great that she's there. Please say hello to the family. I am catching an 11 a.m. flight here in California, so I'm going to spend the morning with some friends here, and then I'm going to head out. Want to just point out on Sri Sunday Note, the newsletter we just published. It's all about America closing down. I call it the closing of America. But we also wrote about Colbert's exit this week and my encounter with Colbert and my experience with him. And then we also launched My Pre-Diabetic Life. This is how I'm using AI, some planning, some advice, and some luck to make a difference in my pre-diabetic situation. Though, Neil, somebody joked that all Indians are born kind of pre-diabetic. And you got to kind of laugh about that. But that's my partnership with Arogya World, and I hope everyone will check that out. And Sudha says, thanks for the nice show. Thank you, Auntie, for watching. And look at Pradnya. I'm with Naomi. 60 minutes speeds by. It's true, but it's also, we're giving you back 30 minutes so that you can all enjoy your day as we can as well. Radhya says, thank you for a wonderful show. I'm here all day. Don't forget the wait staff, which is...
And twice on Sundays. Here all day, twice on Sundays.
Folks, thank you so much for watching. Neil, so much fun to do this. And Diana says, safe travels back home. She's watching at 6:30 in the morning. It was great to see her and so many friends at the Arogya World Gala. And for some reason, I see when you don't follow the conversation, I'm not sure what this means. New York is the banking capital of North America, probably the world. John says, great show. Thank you. Nothing half-baked about your food. Everyone's a clown. Everyone's joking around this morning. I have great meals with John Borstein. Everyone should have friends that you can just call up and say, let's go get lunch. That's really important. Neil, you're drinking a lot of water. You normally don't drink on camera.
It's my Arizona Arnold Palmer, the iced tea lemonade, drink of choice.
Very cool.
But drinking something. I do want to make sure that folks know, in case you joined us late, as soon as we're done, just a few minutes after we end the show, you'll be able to watch the show from the beginning on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn and YouTube, and our Digimentors website, so you can catch the early part of the show. You can always, watch older shows. The archives are on our website. Facebook will drop the video after 30 days. That's a new policy they have, but it will live on our other channels.
Yeah, and Vinay Maka says, thanks for the show. And Ron saying that we also had a great lunch. That's true. Lunch, everybody. Go out and get some, and breakfast, wherever you are in the world. Thank you, everybody, for supporting this. We've been doing this for 10 years. We're coming up on episode number 400 on June 28th, if everything goes smoothly. So please join us then. We will find some way to market, Neil. We haven't actually talked about what we're doing that day, but let's have some fun. And we are getting a thank you, gentlemen. So thank you for watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Neil's Instagram, that is, at Neil Parekh on Instagram. Please follow him. I'm at Sri on Twitter, at SriNet on Instagram. And we love having... Ooh, Neil's birthday is coming up. When is that, Neil?
It's coming up June 9th. So we still have a little bit of time. That'll be after our next episode. Our next episode will be next week. That's going to be June... what is that going to be, Sri? June 7th. So a little after that will be my birthday. I want to do a quick shout out on Instagram, Sri, because I didn't see it during the show. My friend Candace Sanchez says, congrats on a huge milestone, 400 episodes. What did she say? Shake those haters off. And she's watching from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Thank you, Candace.
And Doug is suggesting a party for the 400th. We are cooking up something for our in the fall to celebrate the 10 years and the 400 episodes. We'll tell you about that. If you're in New York, folks, I'm hosting an AI conference, not AI conference, AI panel coming up on June 7th. If you'd like to join us, please message me, Sri at digimentors.group or Sri@Sri.net. We'd love to have you join us. Physical event in New York City. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just showing you California, and that's a beautiful day here in Silicon Valley, as you can see.
we've had a chance to watch the sun come out. From when you started, it was fairly dark at 5:30 local time. Now that it's 6:30, full on sunrise. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.